What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports. I'm back to you guys with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the impact players for the Oakland Raiders. Now, the first player that I have on this list is wide receiver Antonio Brown. Now, the Oakland Raiders acquired Antonio Brown in a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and what Stephen A. Smith would say, traded him for a bag of chips and a Coke. And they sent off a couple of late round picks, and they got a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver in Antonio Brown, who should have been an All Pro last year. The reason why he wasn't an All Pro was because the people who do the All Pro selecting and stuff like that didn't like his antics off the field, and that's why he didn't get the nod for being an All Pro. But when you look at his stats last year, he had All Pro stats. He had 1,297 receiving yards, 104 receptions, and 15 touchdowns. And it's going to be interesting to find out how Jon Gruden and Derek Carr find ways to get Antonio Brown the ball and give him the ball as many times as he would like. Because normally Antonio Brown, he probably wants to get the ball at least about 15 times, or at least have about 15, 16 targets. So it's going to be interesting to find out how he gets the ball in his hands and how Derek Carr is able to give him the ball in his hands. And also the fact that he's going to be double teamed. He might even be triple teamed because he's that doggone good. And so, without a doubt, he's probably their best offensive weapon that they have on their offense this year. And it's going to be interesting. Next up, I have quarterback Derek Carr. Now, last season, Derek Carr had 4,049 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 receptions, and completed 68.9% of his passes. Now, Derek Carr, I feel, other than Jameis Winston, has the most pressure on him at that quarterback position this year, simply for the fact that they didn't draft a quarterback this year and this past year's NFL draft. And even though Derek Carr might be safe for now, this season he's going to have a big season. I mean, they just gave him that big contract extension about a year ago or somewhere around that range. And about a couple of seasons ago, this guy was an MVP candidate before he ended up suffering a season-ending injury, and then the Oakland Raiders lost in the playoffs. But Derek Carr has, other than Jameis Winston, the most pressure on him to perform this year, because if he doesn't perform up to the level of Mike Mayock and Jon Gruden, next year's quarterback class is loaded, stacked with a bunch of good quarterbacks. If he doesn't perform, he most definitely will be replaced. So he has a lot of pressure on him riding this season, and I think he should live up to the expectations. And he really has no choice, because if the Oakland Raiders at least want to make a playoff push this year, he's going to have a big season. And also, the Oakland Raiders, in my opinion, are still the fourth best team in the AFC West, in my opinion. So Derek Carr is going to have a really big season, and he's going to have a big impact for the Oakland Raiders this year, and I will feel that he will. So the next player that we have on this list is wide receiver TYRELL Williams. Now, the Oakland Raiders signed TYRELL Williams in free agency, and last season he had 653 receiving yards with 41 receptions to go along with 5 touchdowns, and he was the number 2 option for the Los Angeles Chargers, as Keenan Allen was the number 1 guy. And TYRELL Williams is going to be the number 2 wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders this coming season. I feel he's going to have a lot more opportunities to get more receptions and more touchdowns and more receiving yards than what he did with the LA Chargers, simply for the fact that we know Antonio Brown is going to command a lot of attention. Not to take anything away from Keenan Allen, who is starting to become an elite wide receiver in his own rights, but I mean, Antonio Brown is going to be double teamed, probably triple teamed. So TYRELL Williams is going to have a lot more opportunities to get more targets than what he did with the LA Chargers. He only had 68 targets last season. He caught 41 of those targets. Now, with Antonio Brown getting double team, maybe sometimes triple team, he's going to have a lot of chances to, have some breakout games. And I think he's going to have a pretty solid stat line. I think he's going to finish slightly behind of that 1,000-yard receiving mark, probably about 900 receiving yards. I'll say he'll have about 70, maybe 60 receptions, and to go around with a similar touchdown ratio that he had this year. I'll say he'll have about 5 or 6 this season. So Antonio Brown and TYRELL Williams, for the most part, are the number 2 wide receivers. And if one of those guys gets hurt, I think the Oakland Raiders wide receiving core is going to be a little bit iffy at that aspect if one of those guys does get injured. But TYRELL Williams should have a big impact on this offense. And next up, I have right tackle Trent Brown. Now, Trent Brown was the best offensive lineman in the playoffs last season. He was graded by Pro Football Focus as the #1 offensive lineman out of all the offensive linemen in the NFL playoffs last year. He had an 86 overall grade by Pro Football Focus, and he was pretty solid for the New England Patriots, and the New England Patriots would not franchise tag him. So the Oakland Raiders ended up signing him to a 4-year deal worth $66 million, $36.75 million of that guaranteed. So without a doubt, he's going to hopefully improve that Oakland Raiders offensive line, which underachieved last year. And he should be a pretty good offensive lineman for the Oakland Raiders this coming season, and he should have a big impact. And also, if he has a good season, which he should, Derek Carr is going to have a good season because he's going to be better protected than what he was last season. Next up, I have the Oakland Raiders. Another offensive lineman on this list, I have center Rodney Hudson. Now, Rodney Hudson, without a doubt, was the Oakland Raiders' best offensive lineman on the underachieving Oakland Raiders offensive line last season, and was ranked by Pro Football Focus as the 4th best center in the NFL last season. And you could make the argument that he was the Oakland Raiders' best player on the offensive side of the football last season. And I felt he was a Pro Bowl snub. He most definitely should have made the Pro Bowl last season. But this season, I feel he's probably going to keep up that production. And this year, he should be a Pro Bowl selection as the Oakland Raiders offense looks to improve and rebound from what was a disappointing 2018 campaign as a whole, besides from Rodney Hudson. Next up, I have the Oakland Raiders' last offensive player on this list. Now, Josh Jacobs was drafted 24th overall by the Oakland Raiders in this past year's NFL draft. Now, Josh Jacobs will be the #1 back for the Oakland Raiders and will get majority of the carries behind what on paper looks to be a top 10 offensive line. And he will be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year this season, in my opinion. On the Oakland Raiders, Isaiah Corral, however you pronounce his name, just today, a few hours ago, as I'm recording this, is out for the season. He suffered some kind of injury during workouts for the Oakland Raiders. And also, Marshawn Lynch is officially retiring from the NFL. So, Josh Jacobs should be the #1 back for the Oakland Raiders. I feel he's going to have a pretty good season. He's going to get a lot of carries, a lot of touches on that ball. And I feel he'll probably have at least 1,000 yards rushing, probably have about 7 touchdowns on the ground. And he'll probably do some work in the receiving game as well. And I think he's going to have a very, very big impact on this Oakland Raiders offense going into the 2019 season. Now to focus on the defense side of the ball. Defensive end Clelin Ferrell. He was drafted 4th overall in this past year's NFL draft. Clelin Ferrell is a guy who has to step up right away for the Oakland Raiders on defense, a team that only had 13 sacks last year. And I feel he will live up to those expectations as he will be very good and have a very impactful rookie season. He'll probably have about, I think he'll have about 7 or 8 sacks, probably have a bunch of quarterback pressures, and I think he should be in the running for a Defensive Rookie of the Year this coming season. And this guy has to have a big rookie year because the Oakland Raiders had 13 sacks last season. So they picked this guy 4th overall over edge rusher Josh Allen. Josh Allen, in my opinion, was the best defensive player in this year's draft, and they ended up taking Clelin Ferrell over him. So he has a lot of expectations, and I think he's going to live up to those expectations. Was very, very good during his time playing for Clemson. Very good pass rusher, can also get there and get some run stops as well, get some tackles for loss. And I think he's going to have a pretty good year for the Oakland Raiders, and he has to have a big year because this is a team that only had 13 sacks last season. So next up, we have middle linebacker VONTAZE BURFICT. Now, VONTAZE BURFICT was released by the Cincinnati Bengals this past offseason, and in 2 seasons, VONTAZE BURFICT has only played in 17 out of the last 32 games that the Cincinnati Bengals have played in, and hasn't been able to have a full healthy season playing in all 16 games since 2013. That's the last time he was fully healthy and played a whole entire season. And if he's able to stay healthy, I feel he's going to dramatically improve the Raiders defense. And he most likely, if he's able to stay healthy, will be a Pro Bowler like how he was in 2013 when he was able to actually stay healthy, which is the last time, like I said earlier, was when he was able to play all 16 games. This past season, he had 33 tackles and 3 pass deflections. So he should improve the Oakland Raiders defense if he's able to stay healthy. The last player I have on this list for the Oakland Raiders, I have free safety LAMARCUS JOYNER. Now, last season he had 78 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 interception. He got picked up by the Oakland Raiders in free agency. They signed him from the runner-ups in the Super Bowl, losing to the New England Patriots, the LA Rams. And LaMarcus Joyner should improve the back end of the Oakland Raiders defense alongside rookie Jonathan Abram. LaMarcus Joyner's versatility will also have a positive impact on the Raiders defense, as he can play slot corner and nickel corner as well as the free safety position. So overall, I think the Oakland Raiders have a pretty solid roster in my opinion. I don't think they have enough talent to compete for a playoff spot this year, or at least be competitive in the AFC West. I think they should be able to do that, but I still feel that they are the fourth best team in that division behind the Denver Broncos. But they have some impact guys on that defense and on the offense, a lot of rookies, a lot of young players. So I'm interested to see how good the Oakland Raiders will be this year. Let me know what you guys think about this list down in the comment section down below. Also, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more NFL news, NFL videos, and content daily. And thanks for watching.